HESI A2 Physiological Processes Review. Question 1. A student is reviewing a concept involved in initiating a homeostatic response. Which option identifies the process with this function, detects a change in an internal or external condition? Option A, peristalsis. Option B, inhalation. Option C, anticodon. Option D, receptor. The correct answer is option D, receptor. The role tested here involves initiating a homeostatic response. This process detects a change in an internal or external condition. It can also be identified because it provides input to a regulatory control center. Question 2. A student is reviewing a concept involved in organizing chromosomes during mitosis. Which option identifies the phase with this function, aligns duplicated chromosomes at the cell equator? Option A, metaphase. Option B, G2 phase. Option C, G1 phase. Option D, anaphase. The correct answer is option A, metaphase. The role tested here involves organizing chromosomes during mitosis. This phase aligns duplicated chromosomes at the cell equator. It can also be identified because it positions sister chromatids for equal separation. Question 3. A learner connects the clues, moves 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in, and uses ADP and helps maintain the resting membrane potential. Which option best matches both clues? Option A, sodium-potassium pump. Option B, set point. Option C, tubular reabsorption. Option D, oxygen diffusion. The correct answer is option A, sodium-potassium pump. The function described is that this process moves 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in. A second identifying feature is that it uses ATP and helps maintain the resting membrane potential. Together, the two clues explain the role in preserving cellular ion gradients.
Stressed about your NA-CCMA? We can take NA-CCMA for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 4. Impairment of which phase would most directly prevent the following function, separates sister chromatids toward opposite poles? Option A, G1 phase. Option B, G2 phase. Option C, anaphase. Option D, metaphase. The correct answer is option C, anaphase. A key clue is that this phase depends on shortening spindle microtubules. It also separates sister chromatids toward opposite poles. That combination is central to distributing genetic material during mitosis. Question 5. Which option identifies the process most important for supporting peptide- bond formation because it forms a major structural and catalytic part of ribosomes? Option A, respiratory compensation. Option B, ribosomal RNA. Option C, transfer RNA. Option D, tubular reabsorption. The correct answer is option B, ribosomal RNA. A key clue is that this process helps align messenger RNA and transfer RNA. It also forms a major structural and catalytic part of ribosomes. That combination is central to supporting peptide- bond formation. Question 6. A learner connects the clues, carries most carbon dioxide in blood after chemical conversion, and depends on reactions inside red blood cells and buffering in plasma. Which option best matches both clues? Option A, external intercostal contraction. Option B, bicarbonate transport. Option C, fatty acid absorption. Option D, meiosis. The correct answer is option B, bicarbonate transport. The function described is that this process carries most carbon dioxide in blood after chemical conversion. A second identifying feature is that it depends on reactions inside red blood cells and buffering in plasma. Together, the two clues explain the role in moving carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs. Question 7. Which option identifies the process most directly associated with maintaining ion differences across a cell membrane and this function, moves substances against a gradient using ADP directly? Option A, renal bicarbonate reabsorption. Option B, cleavage. Option C, primary active transport. Option D, effector. The correct answer is option C, primary active transport. This process participates in maintaining ion differences across a cell membrane. It moves substances against a gradient using ADP directly, and it depends on membrane pumps with enzymatic activity. Those details distinguish the tested concept from related choices. Question 8. A review item describes a phase that produces sister chromatids for each chromosome. Which option identifies it? Option A, metaphase. Option B, G1 phase. Option C, interphase. Option D, S phase. The correct answer is option D, S phase. For progressing through interphase, the described concept duplicates DNA. It can also be recognized because it produces sister chromatids for each chromosome. The remaining choices have different primary functions or locations.
Are you looking for ATIT's 7 actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access ATIT's 7 study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get ATIT's 7 answer key today.
Question 9. Impairment of which immune component or process would most directly prevent the following function: increases local blood flow and immune access after injury? Option A, clonal selection. Option B, inflammation. Option C, adaptive immunity. Option D, passive immunity. The correct answer is option B, inflammation. A key clue is that this immune component or process commonly produces redness, heat, swelling, and pain. It also increases local blood flow and immune access after injury. That combination is central to containing damage and beginning repair. Question 10. A review item describes a volume that reflects extra expiratory capacity. Which option identifies it? Option A, residual volume. Option B, expiratory reserve volume. Option C, inspiratory reserve volume. Option D, tidal volume. The correct answer is option B, expiratory reserve volume. For assessing lung volumes, this volume measures additional air that can be exhaled after a normal expiration. It can also be recognized because it reflects extra expiratory capacity. The remaining choices have different primary functions or locations. Question 11. A physiology item gives 2 clues: it ferments some undigested material and produces selected vitamins, and it forms part of the normal intestinal ecosystem. Which option identifies the microbial community? Option A, large intestine microbiota. Option B, codon. Option C, metabolic acidosis. Option D, prolactin and lactation. The correct answer is option A, large intestine microbiota. The role tested here involves supporting colonic function. This microbial community ferments some undigested material and produces selected vitamins. It can also be identified because it forms part of the normal intestinal ecosystem. Question 12. A student is reviewing a concept involved in organizing the cardiac cycle. Which option identifies the cardiac process with this function, describes a phase of cardiac contraction? Option A, afterload. Option B, second heart sound. Option C, isovolumetric relaxation. Option D, systole. The correct answer is option D, systole. The role tested here involves organizing the cardiac cycle. This cardiac process describes a phase of cardiac contraction. It can also be identified because it is associated with pressure development and ejection in the ventricles. Question 13. Which option identifies the process whose key function is, develops when carbon dioxide accumulates because ventilation is inadequate? Option A, respiratory acidosis. Option B, atrial natriuretic response. Option C, menstruation. Option D, hemostasis. The correct answer is option A, respiratory acidosis. This process develops when carbon dioxide accumulates because ventilation is inadequate. It is associated with a fall in pH and a rise in carbonic acid. These linked features explain the role in interpreting acid-base changes caused by the lungs. Question 14. A learner connects the clues: lowers ventricular pressure without changing volume and occurs after semilunar valves close and before atrioventricular valves open. Which option best matches both clues? Option A, isovolumetric relaxation. Option B, preload. Option C, stroke volume. Option D, ventricular ejection. The correct answer is option A, isovolumetric relaxation. The function described is that this cardiac process lowers ventricular pressure without changing volume. A second identifying feature is that it occurs after semilunar valves close and before atrioventricular valves open. Together, the 2 clues explain the role in beginning ventricular diastole. Question 15. A review item describes a process that may operate as cotransport or countertransport. Which option identifies it? Option A, receptor-mediated endocytosis. Option B, secondary active transport. Option C, transcription. Option D, fatty acid absorption. The correct answer is option B, secondary active transport. For absorbing nutrients across an epithelial membrane, this process uses energy stored in one ion gradient to move another substance. It can also be recognized because it may operate as cotransport or countertransport. The remaining choices have different primary functions or locations. Question 16. Which option identifies the process associated with removing bacteria and cellular debris? In both clues, it engulfs large particles or microorganisms, and it is especially important in certain immune cells. Option A, phagocytosis. Option B, metabolic acidosis. Option C, endocytosis. Option D, secretory phase. The correct answer is option A, phagocytosis. The function described is that this process engulfs large particles or microorganisms. A second identifying feature is that it is especially important in certain immune cells. Together, the two clues explain the role in removing bacteria and cellular debris. Question 17. A learner connects the clues, coordinates immune responses through cytokine signaling, and assists B cells, macrophages, and other lymphocytes. Which option best matches both clues? Option A, secondary oocyte. Option B, memory lymphocyte. Option C, mucus cell of stomach. Option D, T helper cell. The correct answer is option D, T helper cell. The function described is that this cell coordinates immune responses through cytokine signaling. A second identifying feature is that it assists B cells, macrophages, and other lymphocytes. Together, the two clues explain the role in organizing adaptive immunity. Question 18. Which option identifies the process whose key function is, exchanges gases between systemic blood and body tissues? Option A, translation. Option B, bicarbonate transport. Option C, proliferative phase. Option D, internal respiration. The correct answer is option D, internal respiration. This process exchanges gases between systemic blood and body tissues. It moves oxygen into cells and carbon dioxide into blood. These linked features explain the role in supporting cellular metabolism.
Stressed about your NA-CCMA? We can take NA-CCMA for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 19. Which option identifies the hormonal response best matching this description? It stimulates marrow production of red blood cells, and it increases when kidney oxygen delivery falls. Option A, platelet plug. Option B, coxal bone. Option C, erythropoietin release. Option D, parasagittal plane. The correct answer is option C, erythropoietin release. For improving oxygen-carrying capacity, this hormonal response increases when kidney oxygen delivery falls. It can also be recognized because it stimulates marrow production of red blood cells. The remaining choices have different primary functions or locations. Question 20. Which option identifies the process most important for stabilizing temperature, pH, and blood glucose because it maintains internal conditions within a workable range? Option A, endocytosis. Option B, tubular secretion. Option C, homeostasis. Option D, DNA replication. The correct answer is option C, homeostasis. A key clue is that this process depends on coordinated sensing, control, and response mechanisms. It also maintains internal conditions within a workable range. That combination is central to stabilizing temperature, pH, and blood glucose. Question 21. A physiology item gives two clues. It results mainly from closure of atrioventricular valves, and it occurs near the beginning of ventricular systole. Which option identifies the cardiac process? Option A, ventricular filling. Option B, a first heart sound. Option C, isovolumetric contraction. Option D, stroke volume. The correct answer is option B, first heart sound. The role tested here involves relating valve movement to heart sounds. This cardiac process results mainly from closure of atrioventricular valves. It can also be identified because it occurs near the beginning of ventricular systole. Question 22. A physiology item gives two clues. It moves a monosaccharide into intestinal capillaries, and it uses sodium-linked transport at the apical surface and facilitated movement basolaterally. Which option identifies the process? Option A, set point. Option B, simple diffusion. Option C, glucose absorption. Option D, fertilization. The correct answer is option C, glucose absorption. The role tested here involves absorbing carbohydrates. This process moves a monosaccharide into intestinal capillaries. It can also be identified because it uses sodium-linked transport at the apical surface and facilitated movement basolaterally. Question 23. Which option identifies the process that moves water across a selectively permeable membrane toward higher effective solute concentration? Option A, respiratory compensation. Option B, cleavage. Option C, osmosis. Option D, metabolic acidosis. The correct answer is option C, osmosis. This process moves water across a selectively permeable membrane toward higher effective solute concentration. It is driven by differences in water potential rather than ADP. These linked features explain the role in balancing water between fluid compartments. Question 24. A student is reviewing a concept involved in providing humoral defense. Which option identifies the cell with this function, secretes large amounts of antibody? Option A, memory lymphocyte. Option B, dendritic cell. Option C, chief cell. Option D, plasma cell. The correct answer is option D, plasma cell. The role tested here involves providing humoral defense. This cell secretes large amounts of antibody. It can also be identified because it develops from an activated B lymphocyte. Question 25. Impairment of which cardiac process would most directly prevent the following function? Increases contraction strength when ventricular filling rises within normal limits? Option A, Frank-Starling mechanism. Option B, afterload. Option C, cardiac output. Option D, systole. The correct answer is option A, Frank-Starling mechanism. A key clue is that this cardiac process links muscle-fiber stretch with force production. It also increases contraction strength when ventricular filling rises within normal limits. That combination is central to matching output to venous return.